let's get Insta locked in. All right, Insta, let's go. There we go. It was quick today. All right, what's going on, everybody? Will you guys give me a thumbs up? Just make sure you guys can hear me. Mic's working all right. Is the audio okay? Somebody just give me like a yes or an emoji thumbs up that you guys can hear me. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on? I'm from Washington. Or no, I'm from Wilmington, NC. Yo, yep. Okay, everybody can hear me? Yep. Okay, epic. What's going on, everybody? How's everyone's Tuesday? RP Bess, what's going on, my man? RP Bess, I'll tell everybody a story right now, is the first, he was the first person to ever call me off a Sponsor Me tape to start sending me shoes. I didn't know how to get sponsored like when I was a kid. And like back when I was trying to get sponsored, there's no social media, there was no links, it was just VHS tapes. So I made a ton of VHS videos of myself skating, like a 3-minute Sponsor Me tape. Actually, this is crazy. This is crazy. Look at it. I actually have it in my office as I just brought this box home. Check this out. This is my original Sponsor Me tape. Look at that. That is unreal. I can't believe I have that right now. So I made like 40, 50 of these things. That's so insane that I have my Sponsor Me tape with me. That's insane. And I basically went through a skate magazine and found any company that had the address on the page. It's like when they would do ads, some companies would put the address. And Duff Shoes, which a majority of you have probably never heard of, was sick when I was a kid. They put their address in the magazine. So they were getting a tape from me. I didn't know any team managers, so I just put attention team manager. And RP Bess was the team manager of Duff's. He called me, ended up giving me free shoes, and he was in San Diego. Duff's was down there. And like one of the first trips I ever went on, my mom was like in panic mode. My mom had to talk to him. My mom was very overprotective. And I basically got on the train, went down to San Diego and stayed with RP for like a weekend. Got to skate with like, who do we skate with, RP? Skated with Trainwreck. That was pretty epic. Kane Gale, Rob Dyrdek. That was a fun trip. All right, what else going on? Absolutely remember Duff's. Heck yeah. Look, a lot of people do. Vinny does, that's right. I'll post it. I'll figure out how to, I don't even know how you do that. How you make a video, how you take content from a VHS to like, how do you digitize that? I'll have to do it. At work, getting it done. Noah, good to hear. Unmute yourself. Come on, can everybody hear me? Somebody's saying to unmute. Can you guys not hear me? Can everybody hear me? Shot with Burnett. Oh, yeah, you guys had to have heard me if people are saying that. Yeah, okay. Heck yeah. All right, predictions for 2024. What are we expecting for 2024? We got a lot going on right now. Is inflation going to stay down? Are home prices going to continue to climb? What do you think is going to happen with rents? Who's going to become the next president? Is it going to be Trump, Biden? Are they the two that are going to go against each other? Who's going to win that one? What's the predictions? We hear you perfectly. Epic. Car market to crash. The car market's going to get smoked. 1,000,000%. The car market is, I think, going to get hit so hard. Yeah, that one's going to be bad. You're already seeing it. I mean, you're seeing the used car market start to really get hit. But yeah, my expectation is the car market's, I think, if you sell cars, which I'm not saying this lightly, but I think it's going to be a couple of years of it being very difficult to sell. Grant Cardone in the house. I'd love to hear Grant's opinion on this. What's going to happen in the car market, Grant? I think it's going to get smoked, is my opinion. I think it's going to be really hard to sell. I mean, you got to think of it, man. Like everything was so inflated. They pushed the pricing so high a couple years ago, and debt was so cheap that the second it normalized out, 10x the opportunity. You know what? I 100% agree. Look, whenever you go through changing times, that's what creates opportunity. I mean, we forget about this. Like, we always talk about 2007, 2008 being brutal. A lot of the best companies that we get to experience today came out of that time. It's such a good time to create business. I think opportunity is huge during it. Muska for president. Muska, I love what Muska is doing right now. What do you guys think about what's going on with Muska? Bought a farm, right, in Ohio, living off the land. He's like self-sufficient. Muska's, he's the man. Building material cost will go back up. I own a building supply company, and my clients are state and federal contracts. You know what's interesting on our end? Like, we have a project that we're getting pretty close to beginning to build, and our original budget, it actually looks like it's going to come in below what we expected. It looks like we actually overestimated the building cost. So I guess what I would ask, what makes you think that costs are going to rise? RFK for president. You know what? I don't think, how should I say this? I think RFK would actually be a good president. I actually think he'd be pretty good. What about the art world? I don't know the art world, actually. Not my space. I don't know it well. Thoughts on crypto? What percentage of the portfolio should be allocated towards crypto? My portfolio that I'm allocated towards crypto is small. It's like not even 1%. Look, I think crypto is here to stay. That's 100% right. But I don't know. I still think I think it's a big speculation. So how I invest in crypto, I just invest when I'm comfortable losing. I've seen Grant's getting into art. I don't know. Anybody here into art? I don't know. It's not my wheelhouse. I don't know it well. I feel like unions are going to get hammered if Trump gets reelected. Why do you choose Urbandale for your storage? Louis Lenz. So we have a model for our storage, or at least for where we buy with storage. First and foremost, we're looking for markets that are undersaturated. We have how would I say this? We have metrics that we look for on how many other storage units there are in like a 1, 3, and 7 mile radius. So we want to go into an area that has demand. We're looking primarily for that. The second part is when we're buying big box retail, like, when I talk about our strategy of repurposing retail or converting retail into storage, whenever I say that, my DMs are flooded with vacant Kmarts or vacant Walmarts. Finding the Walmarts and the Kmarts isn't the hard part when it comes to repurposing storage. It's really hard to get cities to allow you to do them. Cities don't typically like storage. If you think about it, like, where is most storage in a city? It's usually on the outskirts, right? And so when you're finding like a Kmart or a Walmart, these properties are usually like in the heart of the city. They're usually in locations that aren't typically storage, and cities are reluctant to convert them into storage or to allow you to convert them into storage. So it's almost like all of the stars have to align for us to find a market that's undersaturated and then get a city to allow us to repurpose it into storage. It's not easy to do. The majority of deals we look at die multiple times. We'll pass on a deal, we'll think it's dead, it will resurface, it'll end up, us not being able to do it, it'll come back from the dead again, we'll end up closing on it. That's kind of the experience with our storage. So Urbandale just checked the boxes for us. Undersupplied or had demand, we were able to convert it, and then we're in lease up right now. A property is going to be a good property. How can you invest in multifamily if you don't have the funds? Good question. You have two options. One, you got to save your money. You got to save so that you have the money to invest. Or two, you have to learn how it works. Like, this is one thing that we kind of forget about, is there is so much money out there. It is unbelievable. There is money out there for opportunity. And for a lot of people that have money, they're not out here wanting to go build a business. They're not out here wanting to go find, buy, and manage real estate, but they want their money to grow. So if you can learn how something works and then you can go out and find the opportunity, there are plenty of people that will give you money to fund it. And when they do, you usually get to participate in the deal. You get to take some of the equity in it. And so basically what that means, you're learning how to use other people's money. It's a really powerful, but you have to learn it. You're going to have to spend a lot of time learning the craft, but you can absolutely get in. The demand of home prices and construction activity is going to force the demand/need of materials. It won't be as bad as we've seen during COVID, but my guess, we'll see a slight rise. Okay, Danny, so the idea is because we're so undersupplied and so many people are going to be developing that we're going to see prices increase just because demand is going up. I think that's an okay outlook. I'm not expecting it to move that much, but that's fair. Mikey, what are some books that you think are must reads for any kind of investing, including real estate? Really good books for, is Grant still in here? If Grant's still in here, actually I got Grant just sent me his book, How to Create Wealth Investing in Real Estate. Grant just sent me that. That's a good book if you want to learn how to learn about real estate. Set for Life is a really good book. The next book that I just ordered today is Alex Hormozi's book. What is it, $100 million lead or $100 million acquisition? That's going to be the next book I read. All right, repurposed here in Atlanta area. Movie theater is now a storage facility. Yep, movie theaters. We've looked at doing one of those. We've done like go-kart, like those indoor go-kart tracks. We've converted those into storage. We own apartments next door. We love the opportunity in Urbandale. Oh, Louis, that's epic. I didn't know that. Louis, whereabouts are you? Are you out there or are you guys just investing out there? If you guys are out there, I'll let you know next time I go out. Borrow the down payment. Yep, you can borrow everything. Look, you can get into deals with no money, but you're going to have to put time into it, sweat equity. Thoughts on the housing market? Sell soon or wait? Depends on where you are. If you're in a market that's undersupplied, like I live in Ventura County, we're so undersupplied. I don't think pricing is going to come down. I think it's only going to go up, is my personal opinion here. I think there's going to be a lot of markets like that, but I think there's going to be other markets that are going to come down. It depends on what it is. If it's your primary home, I would recommend not treating that thing like an investment. That's something that I had to learn. I had to learn it the hard way. Like I bought a home and I thought it was the greatest investment that you could possibly make. And because I went in thinking it was an investment, I was treating my house like an investment. Ended up getting married. We had kids. We had 2 girls at this point. And anytime my wife wanted to do something to the house, I'm going, what's it going to cost? So that's going to be my investment in. What's it going to do to the value of the home? Can we sell it for X? What's the return on my money going to be? It was like a bad experience for both of us because Jen's going, look, this is our home. Like I want to live here. I want it to be nice. Like it's not just an investment. It's our house. And I'm going, yeah, but we're putting money into it. Like if this is an investment, we should be like mindful of like dollars in, dollars out. And I had to learn basically to not treat my house like an investment. I had to learn how to treat my house like a house. And I actually think there's a lot of reasons to own a home, but I do not think it's good to look at your house as an investment. Doesn't mean you can't make money. Doesn't mean you can't sell it and have your home appreciate. I've just found that it's better to treat your home like a home and treat investments like investments. Sell condo in OC, California, or wait? Gosh, you're basically betting on if California can fix the housing crisis or not. That's basically what you're betting on. Now, did everybody check out the new or hear about the new hedge fund act, the Hedge Fund like American Act 2023 or something like that, where they're going to make it illegal for hedge funds to own single-family homes? And if you're a hedge fund and you own single-family homes, they're going to make you sell 10% of your portfolio each year for 10 years. Everybody hear about that? Basically, the reason why I say that, if you own real estate in California, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, if California isn't able to fix the housing crisis, I think your house is, or your real estate is only going to appreciate. For context, like the state is 2 million units short. I just made a video on this. In Gavin Newsom, his last campaign, he ran off the idea that he was going to add 3.5 million units in the state by 2030, right? The state averages about 104,000 new units per year, at least they have over the last decade. So in my perspective, you're betting on if the state is going to be able to change the way we build real estate. If we're not, you're not going to see 3.5 million units added until 2090. If that's the case, I don't think real estate's going anywhere but up. But if California can change the way they do business and they can make it easier to build and they could bring the fees down and they could do a lot of, they could change a lot of the policies that drive investors out of the state. If they could do that, then maybe. But that's what you're betting on, in my perspective. $100 million leads. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to read that book. I'm in Iowa, but do syndications. Okay, epic. I'll hit you up next time I'm out there. All right. Tenants are a headache. How do you get past the mental drain to put you, especially when you're not making money yet? Shotgun, you're shotgun and beers. You're saying, how do you get past the headache of managing tenants? Now, with the real estate we do, I'm not managing tenants. We have third-party management, and then we manage them. So they're day-to-day on our assets. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that's you being a real estate investor, not a landlord. But if you're getting started, like you want to build your own real estate portfolio and you want to be the one that manages it, yeah, it might be uncomfortable in the beginning because you're managing a very few amount of units and you're not making a lot of money. I totally get that. But remember, that's building wealth, right? Like you have to, there's only two times. There's two times you can get paid, in the beginning or on the back end, front end or back end. That's it. If you're willing to wait in the beginning, usually what you can make on the back end is way more. But yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's hard. Like you're delaying gratification. There's a reason why everybody has always talked about delayed gratification, because that's how you put yourself in a position of really growing wealth. But while you're delaying it, yeah, it can suck. 100%. What are your thoughts on Phoenix, Scottsdale? Is that an area I should be buying or selling in 2024? Good question. Okay, somebody just hit me up actually about a project in Phoenix area, Scottsdale, Phoenix area. And it's interesting because how he was selling it freaked me out, actually. It's not what I would look for. He goes, dude, there's so much demand in Arizona. It's crazy. And there's nothing stopping you from building. Like he was really hot on like you could build however much you want, right? You can build however much you want is the part that freaks me out. Like I actually like going into markets that are difficult to build. There's some people that think I'm nuts for investing in California. There's a reason why we do it, because the state makes it so difficult for anyone else to invest, and they make it so difficult to build that the state keeps your competition out for you. So it makes it very difficult to get to a point of oversaturation. And once things get oversaturated, that's where you see things crash. Areas like Phoenix, Scottsdale, when somebody says, look, there's nothing that's stopping you from building, there's land everywhere, that's usually when you see crashes happen, because builders build, man. That's what they love doing. And so my perspective, that's not a market I would want to be building multifamily in. But that's me personally. That doesn't mean that fits for you. I just like harder markets. Mr. Taylor, I have pretty solid income at the moment, but I'd like to have a business structure so I can create losses to propel a business. Can you share your thoughts on this? Yeah, P-Zaddy. So, first and foremost, you have to have a business. You can't just create an LLC and then write everything off. Like you actually have to have a business. You have to have a product or service. If you do, then yeah, it's a lot easier to pay less in taxes doing it that way. If you're comparing it to W-2 income, yeah, W-2 income, there's not a ton you can do. So it really depends on what do you do for work? What are you selling? What is the business going to be? Is it a good time to buy REITs or REITs? Okay, good question. So there's some good things about REITs. Like, the barrier to entry is much lower. They pay you a large percentage of income, large percentage of the income that the assets generate. And there's a lot of liquidity in them, so that's good. I think it just depends on the REITs you're investing in, the asset class. I wouldn't recommend investing in a REIT that's focused on office. That doesn't sound fun to me. Depending on the REIT, if the fundamentals are there, which a lot of asset classes still have, like multifamily, fundamentals are strong. Storage, fundamentals are strong. Retail, believe it or not, had a pretty good year, actually. But hospitality, I wouldn't be super comfy with hospitality personally. I'm not going I think office is going to just be devastated for a while. I think it's going to take a long time to get office out of the scenario they're in. They should just remove local approval of housing. Andrew, it's interesting. That's kind of there's been a lot of legislation changes to housing in California that have kind of done that. The state has made it so that the local city council has a harder time stopping or limiting projects. They've definitely taken control away from local and put it more into the state's hands. So they're trying to do that. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm of the belief. This has always been my belief that when we talk about the hedge fund, the Hedge Fund Act. Look, I don't like that hedge funds are gobbling up all the single family. I don't like that. But it's my belief that any time the government gets involved, I think the government messes everything up. That's my personal belief. I think when the government gets involved and they overregulate, it brings costs up, it brings experience down. So I'm of the belief of let the market work it out. But some people don't have that belief. I don't like big government. That's kind of always been my stance. I don't want a big government. I don't want the government in my way. I understand that it's necessary. So I'm not saying I'm not libertarian in the sense of just full blown, anyone could do anything they want at all costs. But it's always been my belief that when the government gets too involved, the government starts messing everything up. So with that said, in California, if I was the governor, if I was Newsom, I would be looking at ways to make it easier to build. All these mansion taxes and, subsidies and all that, that makes it more expensive to do business. That doesn't incentivize people to build. The amount of time it takes to build is long. So if it were me, if it takes 3 years to get a project entitled and to the point of building, I would look at how to make that done within 6 months. You got to chop that time down. You got to bring the fees down. You got to, if there's incentives, if there's tax, you got to do something to tell investors, hey, we need building and we're going to make it easy and we're open for business. That's what I would do, but I'm not the governor, so I don't have to worry about that. Spicy question. If you could snap your fingers and get institutional ownership out of single-family homes, would you? Morgan Swift. Yeah, that's kind of what this bill is proposing. That it's basically going to be illegal for hedge funds to buy single-family. Yeah, so I don't know. You got to ask yourself. Hedge funds have never been in single-family the way they are right now. And so you just ask yourself, why? Why did they all of a sudden jump in the way they did over the last 5 years? I would make the argument that they probably looked around and went, gosh, you have states that are not building. You have states that are so far below the demand. We can just gobble these things up. And because they're so undersupplied, it's just going to drive rents and value up. Let's just own these things forever and let's just get cash flow and let them appreciate. So you just ask yourself, if it was easier to build and if the market was able to operate off the trends that it normally does, which is when demand goes up, that's typically when you see supply go up, and then supply goes over demand, and then you see a correction, and you see this happen over and over. If that were what was happening in our market, you ask yourself, would these hedge funds ever get in? Or would they just focus on everything else? I don't know. It's an interesting one. All right, let me pull this down and get caught up on questions. Anyway, been in solar for almost a decade now, brother, and would love to get you a quote if you were in the market for possible solar deal. Got the cheapest hookup on batteries in the biz right now. My solar broker, I love it. So I have some friends in solar as well. Ty Williams is my guy. I don't have solar. The only solar I would do, and I don't even think it's like the best like from a cost standpoint, but I do the Tesla roof and the Tesla batteries. But I'm a Tesla fan. I'm a big Elon fan, so I do it almost more for him and the brand. But I live in California. Like, I guess I should ask you, like, what's solar look like in our state? Because our states, they're changing things up, aren't they? So you want them to do these things that AZ is doing, but you won't invest in AZ. So, yeah, it's a good question. That's actually a really good point. So if you just got to look at what you're in charge of, right? Like right now, I'm in charge of making money. I run an investment firm. So the purpose of my firm ultimately is to make my investors a return. Because that is my focus, I'm investing in markets that are difficult to invest in. Because I believe because they're difficult and because they drive other investors out, it drives the value of our real estate up, which, for us, I believe puts us in a position where we're paying a higher return to our investors. Now, if I'm the governor of the state, well, my job is no longer making my investors money. My job is now fixing the housing issue in California. And so if that was my job, yeah, I would, if my job was fixing the housing crisis, I would have the outlook personally of making it easier to do real estate. Does that mean that there's going to be a correction? 100%. There totally would be. If supply goes above demand, that's when you see a correction. So, I don't know. Am I tripping on that? And single family are exempt from rent control bills, local and state. In 2011, no institution owned more than 1,000 single family homes. Now it's 74,000. Yeah, it's been a big shift. There really has been. I'm a junior high school. I am junior high school and have $20,000. Would it be wise to try to buy a house and rent? Dang, you're in junior high, you have 20 G's? That's amazing. Would it make sense to buy a home and rent? You're in junior high. Man, that's crazy to think about. Okay. It depends. Junior high. Man, that is crazy. Something about that just sounds nuts. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to buy a piece of real estate and rent it. Yeah, I would say that, or I would look for, you got a couple options, right? Like you're so young. If you put that money to work, like, long term, it has the potential of becoming a massive amount of money. But then you have there's another option. This is the one that I think a lot of us forget about is when you get out of high school, if you're going to go create a business or go work for somebody, or if you're going to go to college, I would look at what you want to do and how you're going to earn money. Look for ways to invest in yourself. Like look for ways to learn a skill that you can go earn from. Don't forget about that one. But junior high, I had no clue what I wanted to do. So it's hard to have to figure that out at that age. So I'm tempted to say like, yeah, dude, put that thing into something long term. I think that's sick. I sent you an earlier message, but California solar is still strong, still better than being with Edison for sure, especially in Ventura County. I love Elon too. However, the solar roof is over $100K, a luxury. I know. It's ridiculous. It looks so sick. Luxurious things more than savings. But yes, they look amazing. Yeah, that's on the solar. That's right. You must have to pee now, drinking like a fish. That's right. Yeah, I will pretty soon. I mean, we'll wrap up around 5. Why do you think high yield savings accounts and index funds like S&P aren't taught in school. Dang. Okay. I have no clue. Like, it makes no sense to me why we aren't taught about money in school. I truly don't understand it. I don't know. It's so obvious that we should all be taught about money. It's so obvious that it's hard to think that it's not done for, like, you know, how could I say this? It's hard not to go to a dark place and think that they're not doing this on purpose so that we don't know how to use money. It's insane. Like, you know, like me, even thinking about my kids, like my wife and I talk about this all the time. We have 4 kids. You know, we talk about the things that they're going to need to know as they become adults. And it's like, you know, where I go with it, I'm like, look, I want them to know about money. I want them to understand the foundation of money. I want them to understand how to build credit. I want them to manage money correctly. I want them to know about investing. I want them to know how to sell. I think that's a great talent to have. I want them to know how to create things. I don't know. Most of that isn't taught in school. I don't know. It just sounds insane to me. Why do you guys think? Like, why do you think we're not taught about money in school? It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense to me. The money subject is too large. It becomes with accounting. Because in school, they teach you to be an employee. They want us to be brainwashed and needy to rely upon government so that they can ultimately control us. School creates employees, can't teach them about money, or they'll be entrepreneurs. Everyone talks about investing, but if your means is the only invest a couple thousand, okay, hang on, how do you choose? Okay, so yeah, I hear that one a lot, and I get it. School basically just wants you to be an employee, and the more you know, the harder it is to control. The thing is, like, I don't know if that part's true. I'm not saying I'm not. I understand the idea. I understand the thesis, but even if you taught every single kid about money that goes to school, I don't think every kid would become an entrepreneur. The reason being, I don't think everybody's comfortable with risk. And building things is risky. Like, there are people that have lower risk tolerance. And I think there's people that will go, you know what? I would rather work for a company, not build it myself, actually, like, you know, not stress myself to death, and have some comfort and some security. I think there's a lot of people that would choose that, but I don't think it ends there. Like, there's a lot of my friends that have W-2 income that invest very well. And so, you know, even if you're making W-2 and you're not an entrepreneur, you can still build your credit. You can still invest like a savage. There's so many things you can do that we are not taught, even being an employee. So I don't know. Like, and then the other thing is, like, yeah, like the government also wants entrepreneurs. Like, the idea of, like, okay, we're not going to teach these kids about money because we don't want them to be entrepreneurs, but yet you look at our tax code, and our tax code incentivizes the crap out of entrepreneurs. Like, the government does have a massive incentive structure for the creation of jobs. And so I don't know. I mean, you guys are hearing me just think out loud with you, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I would actually tend to think it's, if we were trying to put a reason on it, it would be because they want the majority of people to just get put into the system of consumption. And they want people spending, and they want people just keeping money moving like this. I don't know. That's probably where I would go with it. Mikey, before getting into solar, I sold you and your wife a hybrid at Shaver, Thousand Oaks. Legend. Thank you for being so down to earth and giving back here. Cheers to your success and real. I appreciate that, my man. Heck yeah. I see you're in solar now. Sick. New world will be more entrepreneurs. It's going to be interesting with like, I was looking at TikTok, the TikTok shop structure right now. And they are making such a big run at Amazon. It's insane. So basically, you can have TikTok shop be like your full fulfillment center. Like they're going to manage your inventory. They're going to send it out. They're going to do everything. All you have to do is just create content and sell a product. I think there's only more of that in the future. So part of me feels like with AI and especially with what TikTok's doing and just where the gig economy is trending, I think we're entering into a time where it will never be as easy to be a business owner. You won't even have to manage people or scale anything. Like all of that will be done for you. So part of me goes, yeah, you might be right. Like we might be entering into the era of entrepreneurs. Mikey, dude, what are some good books to start wrapping your mind around entrepreneurship? The next book I'm going to read is $100 Million Leads from Alex Hormozi. That's going to be the next one. I ordered it today. Good entrepreneur books, From Good to Great is really good. Principles, really good. Think and Grow Rich, I think is worth reading. It's not necessarily for entrepreneurs. It's more like kind of mindset, but building a business is so brutal and it's so scary and it feels like nothing's working that it is, I think, really good just to kind of strengthen your mind. And then Eric Bork was in here today. He came by the office and he just finished this book and he said it's the best book he's ever written. It's called A Changed Mind, if you can see that. That's the book. Let me hone in on that one. By David Bayer. Eric's saying it's the best book he's ever read. So I ordered that book today too. We'll see how it goes. See if it's any good. Uh-oh, looks like my Instagram froze. California eliminated the middle class. Seems like there is only poverty and the 1% only. Thoughts? This photo is awesome. Yeah, I think California is, it definitely feels that way. It definitely feels like California is gutting the middle class. Yeah, it feels that way. I think, well, I mean, look, it's become so expensive to do anything here. I did a video yesterday on how much you have to make to comfortably live in LA. It's like if you're following, like, you want to be comfy living here and you're basing it off of rents, which is like $2,700 for like 800 square foot apartment. And if you're only spending 25% on your housing, which, look, I'm trying to base this off living here comfy, right? If that's your metric, dude, you gotta make $200K a year to live in LA on those metrics. It's a lot of money. The housing one is a big one. Taxes are big. It's expensive to live here. I've never seen a time where more and more of my friends have left California because of the cost of living. Who's a bigger kook, Ramsey or Kiyosaki? Okay, my opinion on Ramsey, I want to be careful with what I say about Ramsey, because if you're looking at just impact, that man has helped a lot of people out of hard times. Like he's helped more people than most will ever dream of helping. So I do want to give him a lot of credit there. I think he's made a massive impact. Who he's helping and what he's offering is different than what I personally would need. Like, I've always been more interested in building wealth. I haven't struggled with credit card debt. Like that's something that I was very fortunate enough to have drilled into my head over and over as a kid, which was, do not buy things you can't afford and do not put them on a credit card. My parents drilled that one into my head. So I never had to worry about being in credit card debt. And so from that point, I was always able to kind of be an offense. How do I get to the point of investing? How do I build wealth? And that game is not Dave Ramsey's game. And so that's more my criticism for him. Kiyosaki's a little nuts. but I don't know. Like my opinion on so many people has changed over the years because, like, Kiyosaki's here to sell books, like, and when you're selling something, like, he's the master at creating attention and controversy to basically have a whole, bunch of people come into his funnel, and then he sells product because of it. And so, I don't know, I usually look at a lot of the stuff he says through that context. But I don't know, I thought his book was phenomenal. I know there's a lot of controversy around, like, if he even had a rich dad and, did any of that stuff really happen? I don't know. But it was a phenomenal book. I think there is a huge opportunity for you in AZ with TSMC, the chip factory here, considering the global issues that could arise in chip manufacturing and having a huge plant. I agree, actually. I think there's a big opportunity with that, for sure. But that opportunity is different than what my business does. Like, my business is multifamily apartments and storage units. That's our business. If we create a venture arm, yeah, I think there's a good opportunity there. All right, let's, if anybody want to ask a couple more questions, I'm going to wrap it up, head home. After expenses every month, we have $3K in excess. What should we do with it? It sits in a savings, but we want to invest. Help. Yeah, that's amazing. I think you should be investing. Are you having a hard time figuring out what to invest in? Is that the challenge? But having that much left over, like, that's phenomenal. Like, let's go. What you should invest in or how you structure it is kind of twofold. One, you're going to go through your short-term goals. Like, what investments or what goals do you have that you're going to need money for in the next 5 years? That would be a short-term goal. For most people, it's buying a house. For you, if you own a home and you want to get into real estate, maybe it's saving money for a down payment for a rental. If that's the case, if you have a short-term goal that you're going to need money for in the next 5 years, don't worry about investing it. Put it in a high-yield savings account. Don't put it in the market because you need that money to be there short-term, so you don't need to take great risk with it. If you're looking at long-term, like you're looking at retirement stuff, most people start with 401k or a Roth IRA, right? They'll bring their taxable income down and employer match on a 401k, or they'll stick it in a Roth, and they just let that money sit and go. Not a terrible plan at all. If you want to invest in the market, what I recommend people doing is I think Warren Buffett just nailed it with this one. If you don't follow the market inside and out, just invest in the S&P 500. Find a low-cost, low-fee index fund and just invest in the fund. Remember that? Did anybody see that documentary? Or maybe he called it out that most hedge funds can't even beat the S&P 500, and he started tracking them, and most of them couldn't. So I actually think that's a pretty good strategy. First-time home buyer here. Do you think housing in Orlando, Florida will cool off at all? Or will it only go up as interest rates may go down, considering the migration from out of state lately? Okay. Real estate will always correct. So it won't go up forever, but when you look at it over time, considering the corrections, yes, long-term it does appreciate. For Florida, look, I don't think we're going to continue to see the net migration that we saw over the last 2 years continue to happen in Florida. I think the majority of that was driven because of lockdowns, personally. So I think Florida will get to a point where the supply meets the demand and you'll see a cool down. That would be my expectation. Now, with interest rates coming down, in theory, that should make it so that more people are able to buy homes. So it should bring demand up. But what I don't know, and I know this is a little bit fringe, is for the people that have homes that want to be selling that can't because interest rates have gone up so much, will they start selling once interest rates go down? I think there's a possibility of that. The other thing is, like, as the boomers pass down these homes, I'm going to be watching that. So I think there's going to be a lot of markets that have the potential of correcting because of that scenario. All right, everybody. It was great hanging with you for the hour. Love you guys. Have a phenomenal rest of the day. Tomorrow I'm not going to be able to do this. Maybe I'll jump on a live Friday.